So this is the way that people are joking about today. There is an account called Woofers. I don't know who it is, but this is what this account is writing, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Total media chaos today with regards to Iran. JD is going, then he's not. Then he's actually already en route, then he's not. Iran will sign a deal. Actually, no, that's not true. It doesn't matter if they sign a deal because they're going to get bombed. The Iranians are coming to Islamabad. Actually, no, they aren't. Well, again, don't worry because it doesn't matter, but also we are close to a deal. This is having such real world consequences that are becoming hard to quantify. Almost 30 billion or more has been spent on this war. There's been billions of dollars worth of losses on oil alone. And let us see how Donald Trump himself is politically faring because of this war. God only knows if he's oblivious to this, or this is making him spiral, or he thinks that, committing more war crimes and threatening war crimes are going to help his ratings. I'm not sure what he thinks. But here is what reality is showing up. This is, again, Harry Enton, the pollster on CNN, telling us where Donald Trump stands on the issue of inflation and with independent voters.
Question. Yeah, okay. Americans say inflation is the number one issue facing them right now. And to quote the great Happy Gilmore, according to them, the price is wrong when it comes to the President of the United States. Just take a look at these net approval ratings when it comes to inflation. The President of the United States is hitting all-time record lows in all of these polls, and all of them. NBC came out yesterday, 36 points underwater. CBS came out a few weeks ago, 38 points underwater. Ipsos, Reuters, 43 points underwater. CNN came out earlier this month, 45 points underwater. And taking the cake is UMass Amherst, 47 points underwater across all of these polls. Trump is in his worst position ever on the issue that the American people say over and over and over again is their key number one issue.
Was it always thus?
No, it wasn't this always thus, Mr. Berman. And this is what is so amazing to me. I mean, these shits that we're just seeing, my goodness gracious. Voters on Trump and inflation. In the 2024 election, remember, Trump got reelected to a second term, and Joe Biden got pushed to the curb in large part because Americans felt he couldn't handle inflation. Trump was more trusted than Kamala Harris on inflation by 7 points. Look at his net approval right now. You average all those polls on the first side of your screen, 42 points underwater. That is a nearly 50-point shift away from the President of the United States.
A nearly 50-point shift. That's bad. What's worse?
Yeah, what's worse? You think this is bad, a nearly 50-point shift. How about a 70-point shift? I'm laughing because you never see numbers like this. Look at this. Independence on Trump and inflation. In the 2024 election versus Harris, Trump was favored by 10 points. Down he goes. Down he goes. He's down to 60 points underwater on inflation. That is a 70-point shift in a little bit less than 2 years worth of time. John Berman and I are big baseball fans. And I will tell you, I'm going to go to Trump's home borough in Queens because, to be honest, it's the only comparison I can think of. Donald Trump is in worse shape on inflation right now than the New York Metropolitans are in the NL East. That is how bad. And what, the Mets just lose their 11th straight game?
At a certain point, you stop counting because there's so many. There's two things I just want to point out quickly here. The two words that matter so much here are, independence and inflation. These are two areas the president did well on in the last election.
He did well. This is what is happening here. The strengths that Donald Trump once had with the electorate, the things that got him elected to a second term, you can wave adios amigos goodbye to them. And why that's so important is even though Trump isn't on the ballot come November, A lot of Republicans in Congress are on the ballot, and if these numbers hold, you can wave adios amigos, goodbye, see you later, certainly that House majority, and maybe that Senate majority as well.
Harold, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, okay.
So this is how much damage is being done to Trump himself. You can imagine, and we can all imagine, because we are paying the price, literally, of higher inflation and of higher cost of health insurance, higher cost at the grocery store, higher cost at the pump. There's an article in the New York Times today that literally took my breath away. And I would like to read a substantial part of it here because it is so important. They've done a great job. The title of the article is "The Forces of Scarcity Hitting Asia May Soon Spread Across the World." And what is it that they are saying? This is what is at stake for Asia and indeed the world. Wealthier countries, including China, face less immediate risk with bigger fuel reserves and budgets. But comfort is neither permanent nor widespread. The rest of Asia, excluding China, is responsible for as much of the global economy as the United States or Europe, and many countries in that group have been struggling more than is publicly known. In interviews, farmers in Vietnam, laborers in India, innkeepers in Sri Lanka, drivers in the Philippines, and executives in Hong Kong and Singapore all sounded more worried than many of the region's politicians, who are seeking to project a stoic calm that often understates the scramble occurring off-screen. Transportation, manufacturing, and upward mobility, three pillars of stability in Asia, are all confronting powerful shocks. Shockwaves. Carriers flying through the Middle East, where 24 million migrant workers from South and Southeast Asia are employed, suspended trips to Dubai and other Gulf hubs right away. With jet fuel nearly doubling in price and with its availability threatened, airlines are slashing many more routes indefinitely. It's massive in the scale of things, unprecedented in the industry, added one expert. Even with COVID, we weren't gripped to our seats like we are now. Worse than COVID. The UN report predicted that the war would cost Asia and the Pacific between $97 billion and $299 billion, equivalent to between 0.3 and 0.8% of regional gross domestic product. The war's damage, so quick and deep across the Asia-Pacific, will not be easy to contain. Even if the United States and Iran reach a lasting peace, the forces of scarcity and inflation have gained momentum and are on the move. The scarcity and inflation have gained momentum and are on the move. You've seen tsunamis. They go across the ocean very, very fast, said Mr. Cornell from the Atlantic Council. I find it breathtaking to see the degree to which American policymakers think that they are insulated. This article in the New York Times is definitely worth reading. Everyday people are hurting so badly in Asia. Vaccines, syringes, essential goods, fertilizer, raw material, and of course, diesel, gas, oil, is seriously threatening the lives of people all over the world. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has made at least 15 contradictory statements in a matter of hours. Literally in a matter of hours. So many lives are being affected, and literally they are threatened. And even if the ceasefire holds, the damage is so severe that it will take maybe years, because the world hasn't still come out of the damage from COVID. This is compounding it. Donald Trump has crashed the world economy. Remember, Asia was the rising region. China will weather this storm. There is no doubt. China may weather this even better than the United States. In fact, no. China will weather it better than the United States, better than Europe. Not these countries. Not the Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India. There is grave peril. Sri Lanka, tourism is such an important factor for Sri Lanka. It's completely drying up. Hotels are empty. One crisis after the other. So, Donald, you've crashed the world economy. And like this person said, like a tsunami, it's only a matter of time before it hits the shores of the United States. Pakistan is literally working 24/7, trying to save all of this or prevent further damage to itself, because Pakistan is so vulnerable to all that is happening. In fact, Pakistan might be one of the most vulnerable countries. And in this diplomacy, clearly, they have pissed off at least the UAE, which has demanded immediate return of $3 billion. And that is also because the UAE is feeling the pinch. But it was pretty abrasive. So Pakistan has to manage between Iran and Saudi Arabia mostly. And of course the rest of the GCC, but Saudi Arabia is the big one. Between China and the US, between Iran and the US, it's really in a very tricky situation. And despite that, they are forging ahead because they have everything to lose. Today, Pakistan has tried to convince the Iranians to come to Islamabad for the peace talks. And there's some indication that the Iranians may be willing to do it. But unless tonight there isn't some backing off of the verbal diarrhea from Donald Trump about bombing every bridge, bombing power plants, destroying Iran, bombing them to hell, unless that doesn't stop, and perhaps the release of the cargo ship that has 5,000 containers coming from China, some kind of goodwill gesture has to happen. And there has to be a full-on confirmation that the appropriate level of negotiators from the US are going. So, let us see what tonight brings. I have no doubt that it's going to bring a lot of verbal diarrhea from Donald Trump. He is clearly spiraling. And he is jeopardizing the entire world economy. Like I said, the New York Times article literally took my breath away at what they were outlining. Halted production in many of the successful export industries of Asia. Cutbacks in manufacturing are now multiplying, revealing vulnerabilities that nobody had even considered. New York Times points out copper and nickel production, for example, rely on high heat from natural gas and also sulfur, a fossil fuel byproduct. Both are in short supply, forcing several Indonesian nickel processors to reduce output by at least 10%. Then there's polyester and nylon are also derived from petroleum in the sewing hubs of Bangladesh, Ghazipur, and Ashulia, where clothes are made for Walmart, Zara, and Uniqlo. Severe disruptions to production and shipment schedules are common and on track to worsen. These are real people relying on income to feed their families. Millions of them are being affected and devastated by this. So let us really pray to God that Pakistan succeeds in its diplomatic efforts, and that regardless of what Donald Trump is spewing, that some kind of reasonable agreement is achieved, because we are staring into the abyss. So let us pray that everybody is on planes tomorrow heading to Islamabad.